Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Chinta. Hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Right. And see me also. Right. Okay. Right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Pharmaceutical Society of Sri Lanka, I would like to welcome you all for this discussion webinar on NMRA guidelines. I would like to welcome Mr. Arjuna Padma Peruma and Mrs. Amila Ekanayaka from the NMRA, in fact, who are also life members of PSSL. Right. So, for the benefit of all other participants who are not PSSL members, let me briefly tell you what PSSL is. The Pharmaceutical Society of Sri Lanka is the professional body of registered pharmacists in Sri Lanka. We are members of various international organizations related to pharmacists, namely FIP, International Pharmaceutical Federation, CPA, Commonwealth Pharmacists Association, and in the Asian region under FAPA, Federation of Asian Pharmaceutical Associations, and in the Southeast Asian region under Sierra Farm Forum. Then in Sri Lanka, we are members of the Organization of Professional Associations. There are several practice areas for pharmacists in Sri Lanka, namely community pharmacy sector, then the hospital pharmacy sector, manufacturing, industry, supply chain, regulatory, quality assurance, marketing, and also academia. So along with other healthcare professionals, the pharmacists play an important role and a significant role in the healthcare system to provide better health outcomes to patients. The NMRA has many new guidelines set up for the regulatory sector, and therefore we thought we should intervene and as the professional body, and also the industry also should understand and should follow these the guidelines. So therefore, the PSSL will set up a common platform to discuss these guidelines in detail so that the contents and the processes are clear to all. We hope to organize a series of discussions on various NMRA guidelines in the form of webinars. So today's program will be on two guidelines. That is the guidelines for variation of applications related to medicines. Then the next one is expedited processing of applications for marketing authorization of medicines. So some of you have already sent your feedback and questions, which will be discussed today. And at the end of the program, we will assist Arjuna and Amila to compile the feedback and the outcome of this discussion so that it could be presented to NMRA. So I hope you will make use of this discussion to get a broader understanding of the guidelines, and let's try to use this common platform to achieve a win-win situation for all parties. So finally, I would like to wish and congratulate and appreciate the efforts of Ms. Chinta Bewardana and all the members of the organizing committee and support staff for an excellent job done and to make this event a success. So thank you so much for joining and stay safe. Thanks, Chinta. Over to you.
Thank you, Tisara. And I'm so happy to see you. And first of all, wish you a happy new year. And you all have, I think now we have almost all the people who have registered, I think they have joined except a few. I just, Tisra has already explained, you given the introduction on this. So this will be a discussion platform. What we thought was, as the professional association, we want to, feel if there is, if there is a knowledge gap, we want to bridge that gap. Always we think the regulatory pharmacies or regulatory affairs in the companies should be with the same page as the NMRA. Then only things will, run smoothly. And also, we like to get your, the resource persons, as Tisra mentioned, Mr. Arjuna Padmaperuma and Ms. Amila Kanayaka will explain you the guidelines. And also, we like to get your feedback. And they are flexible. They have given on this aspect because the timelines they have given for these guidelines for your feedback. Those are, the timelines are flexible. They have given more time. Even now, the closing date is over for these two guidelines also. And also, it will also help to reduce the time taken for regulatory approval if you really follow these guidelines and understand, and if you inform your principals also about the contents of these guidelines and to follow those, so that will be helpful in reducing the regulatory time taken for regulatory approvals. Also, all these guidelines, they have references. Nothing is, has been made by Sri Lanka. All these are internationally accepted guidelines and customized according to the Sri Lankan needs. And actually, these are done with the support of the WHO consultants. And if there are any problems, serious problems, where we can't apply this in the current, the Sri Lankan situation, there are chances we can talk to them and get this, customized according to the needs. So that's why your feedback is really important. And also, thank you for the questions you all have sent. And I have some housekeeping announcements to make. So if you need to talk, because you are muted at this time, you can raise your hand. Also, we like to, if you can't talk and if you don't like to talk, you can write your question in the chat box. So end of this session, there will be a question and answer session also. There we will take up the questions that we have received questions from only 4 people. So those questions also we will be taking at the end of the session. So that's that's all for the moment, without wasting much time, because we need more time for the discussion. So I will hand over to the first presenter for today's thing is Ms. Amila Kanayaka. She will talk to you about variation guidelines. Over to you, Amila. I don't think you need a special introduction about Ms. Amila Kanayaka. She's a senior regulatory pharmacist at the NMRA. She's in charge of the medicine registration division now. Over to you, Amila.
Good morning to all of you. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see. Yeah. But I think you have to go to the presentation mode.
Is it okay now?
Still not. Better if you can go to the presentation mode.
Yeah, I have done that.
Yeah, I can see. But my screen is clear anyway. Okay, go ahead, please.
I'm going to explain the variations which are relevant to authorized product by the NMRA. Variations are we call variations, as you know, any changes of authorized medical products. That changes may happen due to new findings or administrative nature. Those are called variations, and we classify those according to conditions and required documents. If that variation couldn't fulfill those requirements, it goes as new registration. Market authorization holders are legally bound to inform such changes to NMRA. These are my objectives of the presentation: explain legal framework, explain the content of the NMRA guideline for variation, explain the purpose, scope, type of variations, procedure, conditions, and required documents included in NMRA guideline, and discuss your questions. This is our legal framework. NMRA Act ensure quality, safety, efficacy, need and cost of medicines. As per the NMRA regulations, market authorization holders are bound to approve such post-approval changes for authorized products. Now we have prepared our variation guideline with the consultation of WHO consultant and published for public comments.
Excuse me, Amila, are you moving the slides? Because slides are not moving.
Yes.
Yeah, problem is that you shared the window, that's the wrong window. Or you can stop sharing and start with the entire screen.
Okay.
Yeah, you go to the entire screen. Yeah. Thank you, Pramod. I think you share the window, entire screen එකට යන්න. දැන් බලන්න
I cannot share entire screen.
මොනවද ඔයාට ගේන එතන එන you just now slides are moving.
Stop.
What are the choices you have there? Window.
Only meeting window.
Sorry?
Only meeting window.
Pramod.
So, yeah, what
Yeah,
option?
not,
Yeah, in the bottom bar, there should
wait.
be.
Only cancel is visible. The sharing is not responsive.
Share button is there, but it's not responsive.
That means share button is not working like?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's okay.
Okay, right. Go ahead, please. Sorry for the delay. Oh, okay, fine.
Okay, it's okay.
Yes,
These
now
are
we can
the-
see. Yeah, now we can see, and the slides are moving. Fine. Okay, please
Yeah,
go ahead.
these are the, as I explained, objectives and legal frameworks. These are the contents of the variation guideline. This is the purpose of our NMRA guideline: to provide information and what are the required information to implement intended change. And also this guideline serve as a guidance to Medicines Evaluation Committee. This is the purpose of NMRA guideline on medicines variations. Scope of this guideline is to establish national requirements for regulation of post-approval changes which are relevant to finished pharmaceutical products, And this guideline categorized those post-approval changes depending on level of risk to the public. There's three type of variations. First one is major variations, which are affect directly or significantly to the quality, safety, efficacy of the registered medicines. They don't fall within the definition of minor variation or new registration. Prior to implement these type of variations, NMRA approval is needed. We call these type of variations as major variations. Second one is minor variations, which require prior approval from the NMRA. These changes have minimum impact on quality, safety, efficacy of the registered medicines. NMRA approval for these changes still require prior to the implementation. Third one is minor variations require notifications. These changes mainly due to administrative nature. Those are not significant impact on quality, safety, efficacy of the registered medicines. Market authorization holder requires only to notify those changes to NMRA. They should notify those changes before 12 months after implementation. If NMRA does not issue negative opinion for those variations within 30 days, it seems as acceptable. As you know, there are two types of medicines which contain chemical entities. Other medicines are biotherapeutic products. As you know, there are several types of biotherapeutic products: vaccines, biotechnological products, similar biotherapeutic products, plasma products, and other biological products which are extracted from biological sources such as sex hormones, like that. So vaccines are very specialized among other biologicals. As you know, those vaccines are used for healthy people and young children, like that. There are special characteristics for the vaccines. There are conditions to fulfilled for a specific kind of variation, and there's a special requirements of documents to approve that variations. For chemical entities, we have listed all conditions and required informations for each variation in our NMRA guideline, which is published for public comments. Reference to biotherapeutic products and other vaccines products, there are published guideline by the WHO. So we have referred those WHO guidelines for biologicals and vaccines to get idea of conditions need to fulfill such a variation and required documents. There are little bit differences in naming for the type of variations, but all terms are similar, only names are different. This is the classification difference. In WHO guideline, variations classified as major, moderate, and minor. In NMRA guideline, we classified as major variations, minor variations requiring approval, and minor variations require notifications. This is our NMRA procedure for variation approvals. Market authorization holders submit the application for screening. NMRA screen the application and classify as the major variations. Minor variation require approval or minor variations require notification. After screening and classified by the NMRA, such applications should submit by the market authorization holder with the required processing fee. Then NMRA evaluate those applications. If it is approved approval is issued to the market authorization holder. If it is rejected, it also same as inform to the market authorization holder. If need more additional data or any other queries, we communicate with the market authorization holder. If such changes need to lead to amend the certificates, such amendments should be done as accepted procedures in NMRA. Those are changes of shelf life. Likewise, you have to amend the certificate after approval of post-approval changes. These are the published timeline given in our NMRA guideline. Major variations. If all documents have been submitted, we take maximum 220 working days. For minor variation require approvals. If all the required documents submitted, we take maximum 90 working days. For minor variation required approval, we take maximum 30 days. These are the general administrative documents required for submission of all variations. There should be a statement letter that declares there is no change other than except for the proposed variation. Market authorization holder should submit a declaration letter. Then manufacturer should submit comparative table for the proposed change, including references of the changes, justification of proposed change, certificate of registration, and prior approvals issued by the NMRA or any other administrative document required by the NMRA. These administrative documents should be submitted along with all variation applications. These changes lead to new product registration. If manufacturer is going to change the API or dosage form, release profile, changes such as coating tablet to sugar coated tablets and to film coated. Likewise, if a normal tablet change, it should be goes as a new registration. Change primary pack type, and addition or replacement of manufacturing site. Those changes recognized as new applications by the NMRA. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Amila.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, okay. Now I will explain how to read our NMRA guideline. Can you see NMRA guideline?
Yes.
Yes. This guideline we have published for public comments. As I explained, there's an introduction, purpose, scope, abbreviations, and application types, and the procedure is also explained. Then timelines and documentary requirements for the variations. As I mentioned, you can see here administrative documents. You have to submit all these administrative documents along with all variation applications. Here it was mentioned that chemical medicines which contain chemical entity conditions and the documentary requirements are explained in Appendix 1. For the biologicals and vaccines, you have to refer guideline, WHO guidelines. Those are in the reference. So these are the classification. These are the changes leading to new product registration. Then this is the appendix 1, which is mostly relevant to medicines containing chemical entities. I will go to familiar 1 due to time restriction. This is major variation. This variation is change of batch size of sterile product. So you can read these conditions. This variation, if this variation fulfill these conditions and submit with these documents, we can consider for the approval. So if this batch size does not affect consistency of production, product formulation remains unchanged, release and shelf life specification of drug product remain unchanged, process validation scheme or report is available, or validation of the manufacturing process has been successfully carried out according to the protocol with at least 3 batches appropriate to the proposed batch size. If this variation fulfills all these conditions, then manufacturer can submit this variation with following 5 documents, with the administrative documents. Do you understand how to read this guideline?
They are muted.
Yes, Ms. Amila.
Yeah. Then likewise, there are several changes mentioned. You have to first check whether these conditions are met or not. Then you have to check all documents should have to be submitted. There are all variations pertaining to medicines which contain chemical entity. How to change label, how to see this one is change of drug product name. It is minor variation requiring prior approval. There is no change to the product formulation, release, shelf life, no any changes to the product, just want to change the name. No inclusion of any other product, either when spoken or written. The proposed name does not suggest greater safety or efficacy than the supported by the clinical data. If all these conditions are fulfilled, they can change the name with submit these documents. They have to submit these 5 documents with the administrative documents. Now you have idea how to read this guideline for your comments.
Amila, there are some questions.
Yes.
One is coming, thank you for the questions. One is coming from Tilak Fernando.
Yeah.
If minor variation where notification is only required, why there is timeline given for approval?
Actually, can I answer?
Yes.
The timeline is to the applicant can consider that the notification is accepted if there are no adverse comments from our side within 30 days.
I think, good morning, Arjuna and Amila. Bandaranayak here. I think, like, according to the guidelines, you have the facility to notify within 12 months, no? After implementation. After implementation.
Yeah.
So it is not appropriate giving the timeline, I think. I don't know whether you agree with me.
But if there's any anything any concerns we have if there, we can
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
ask you to we can ask you to make some changes within 30 days.
Yes. Yes. Agree.
That's the idea.
But
That's the
yeah,
idea.
it will be after 12 months. No. Now,
Yeah, yeah,
according to the guideline,
yeah.
you have facility to inform within 12 months.
Yes, those variations not affect to the quality, safety,
Yeah.
efficacy of the product, no?
Actually, not we.
Yes.
The
Yes.
manufacturers have the
Manufacturer.
facility to submit
Correct. Correct.
after
Agree. Agree.
within 12 months.
Yeah. Okay.
Bandaranaike, you think the guideline is not clear there?
No, no, no. The
Okay, now it's
guideline
clear.
is clear, Chinta. But when I think Miss Amila was presenting, she mentioned about a timeline. No, that is the
Okay,
confusion.
that's
I
right.
think now it
Okay.
is clear.
If you are clear with the guideline, okay. Thank you
Yeah.
for that question. Can we go to the next one, please? One from Prasanna Priyanath Gunawardena. You have given maximum time period for approval such as 120 days, 90 days, and 30 days. If market authorization holder did not receive any feedback from NMRA, can we consider it is as it is approved?
No.
No.
For major variations and minor variations needing approval, you have to wait till our approval is received. If there's a delay on our side, you can request by inviting. You can remind. We know with there's a issue. Major issue is the sending the dossiers from the record room. So we have to settle that issue, but you cannot go ahead without our approval.
Yeah, we know there are problems, but I think even this, this webinar, we do with the blessings of the NMRA new administration. That is a very good sign. And they have recruited people also, more people. So we will try to improve that part also. We really understand your concern. And in that case, yeah, what we can do at the moment is to send a reminder. But we will see that the things are, we can see the things are getting, improved. Thank you for the question. Then there's another one, again from Tilak. Change of API, quantity changes, increase and decreases. That means the quantity changes are not fallen into this category. Change of API. The
Yeah.
quantities.
Yeah, if the change is, if there's a change, it's a new product. API is change, if it's a new product.
No, he is referring to the quantity of the API.
Even the
That's
quantity,
false.
the quantity of the API, if it's increased from 250 to 500 milligram, that's a product. That's a new
It
product.
will affect the quality.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then another one from Lalit Vijay Sundara. At the time of primary screening, it is better to mention the variation category in the application by NMRA.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a format for that. We would implement from January. Part of that you have to fill. The applicant has to fill, and you have to declare the variation category as you think. We may change that when we are processing that, but you have to first declare what the variation category is. So we are going to implement this from next week, the format for variation application.
Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Then again, Tilak, you have a lot of questions. Tilak Fernando, very interesting. If variations are approved by major reference authorities, will there be a reduction in approval timeline?
Certainly there will be, but we have given a maximum timeline. We would.
So that means you will not go to the maximum level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's all. Anything else if you want to clarify under this topic? You can raise your hands.
Ms. Chinta, I think the presentation is still not over. There are some-
Okay. Yeah, I missed it. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, can you see the WHO guideline for vaccines? Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the WHO guideline for post-approval changes, required documents and the conditions defined in WHO. So they are so same as our guidelines, content is same. I will explain how to read this guideline also. I take simple one to explain. Yeah, this is a change in label storage condition for final product or the dilute or reconstituted vaccine involved. So this is the suggested change, and there's no specific conditions. If manufacturers submit supporting data 1 to 4 and 6, we can consider as moderate. These are the supporting data. As we mentioned in our guideline, these are the documents required for vaccines. If a manufacturer wants to change the storage, they have to submit revised labeling information, proposed change condition and shelf life, updated post-approval stability protocol and stability commitment, justification for the changes in the label conditions, and the results of testing under appropriate stability conditions, and results of for one commercial batch, or sixth one is have to submit stability data for 3 commercial batches. If manufacturer can submit one to 4 and 6, we consider moderate. These guidelines say that if these documents cannot submit these documents and manufacturer cannot comply with the defined conditions, automatically it goes to the high level. That means moderate, from moderate to major variation. If manufacturer cannot fulfill these documents, it considered as a major variation. If manufacturer can fulfill these documents, we can consider as moderate variation. So before submit all variations to the NMRA, please read these guidelines and submit relevant documents along with the variation applications. That's why delays are mostly happen or rejections happen. Can you see this is the biotherapeutic products guideline issued by the WHO?
Yes.
This also contain, as I explained, introduction, purpose, terminology, and conditions and the required information. There's also I will explain simple one. This is the suggested change in the supplier for primary container closure involving following replacement or addition of the supplier. If this manufacturer fulfill 1 and 2 conditions, no supporting data required and we considered as a minor variation. If this manufacturer does not fulfill these conditions, they have to submit 1 to 3, all these 3 documents, and we consider as moderate variation. Is it clear to you how to read these guidelines, how to identify the conditions and supporting documents and the type of variation? If manufacturer does not comply to these conditions and submit these 3 documents, we can consider as moderate. If the manufacturer fulfill 1 and 2 conditions, that there's no change in type of container closure, the material of construction, the sterilization process for the sterilized container closure component, and there is no change in the specification of the container closure component outside the approved range. That means already approved pack. Only supplier is the change. Then we consider as a minor variation. No supporting data required. If these conditions are not fulfilled and manufacturer need to submit data demonstrating the suitability of the container closure system, for example, extractables and leachable testing, information on the proposed container closure system, for example, description material of construction of primary packaging, components and specifications. And here it is talking about the shelf life with the new primary pack. So manufacturer does not fulfill above conditions, they have to submit all 3 supporting data for the approval. It considered as a moderate variation. Moderate means minor variation need prior approval before implementation. My presentation is over. If you have any question, we can discuss.
Yeah, there are some more questions from Shanika Fernando. Quantity change in API related to potency adjustments is not a new product, I suppose. That means API related to potency adjustments.
Yes.
Yeah. Then that would all the variations may not have been listed here.
Yeah.
We have the right to decide if it is not listed to which category it falls. Usually, such a change would go as a major variation.
This is not a. This is what they are referring to here is related to potency adjustment, quantity of API.
That would go as a major variation, not a new product.
Okay, right. Then Vasanta Somasiri, this is an administrative question. I think I have already addressed this. That is not relevant any technical thing. He says guideline expression is okay and understood, but the rest or maybe rest of the activities at the NMRA are not properly functioning, but you can attend or implement to expedite that I have already told you. There are improvements. That is not a technical question, that is for the management of the NMRA. Okay. Then there is another one from Lakmali Pereira. Change of API source is considered as a new product?
No.
No.
Any other explanation you can give on that, Amila?
Yeah.
There's some excipient source, API sources, no?
Yeah, API, sure. They are talking about.
Some manufacturers have a suitability certificate from Europe. Then in that case, document requirement is less than without that. So it was clearly mentioned in our guideline.
Okay, thank you. Then another one that is also from Rasanta Somasiri. Stability data. Oops. Oh, no, not that. 1 minute. Self-made payment for 2 variations of brand name change and a pack size inclusion in 1 year back on. This is not a technical question, I think. Pending for some time, I think. That is another. I can't understand the question. I will read the question, Amila, anyway. Self-made payment for 2 variations of brand name change and pack size inclusion in 1 year back on 18/12/2020, but still pending. That is a technical question. I don't know whether you are here to answer that. Maybe can take it up at another forum, but there is one concern that the time limits are not adhered to or whatever. What can you say about that, Amla?
Yeah, as
you don't know what the exact things he's referring to, but there is a general, this thing. They have made some payment for variations and brand name changes and pack size inclusions 1 year back, but no, still pending. So you can
in
take it into
future,
consideration.
after payment, we will collect all applications and distribute as soon as paid among our pharmacists.
Yeah, maybe you can speak to him later. I mean, Vasanthi Somsari, you know him, I think.
Now they are collected by the admin.
Okay,
and
right.
handed over to the record room.
Okay. Then stability data is requested for a major variation, but it has not mentioned specific time period for stability data. Is there a fixed time period for stability data, or is it changeable as per the scenario? Can I read the question again? Stability data is requested for a major variation. Okay? But it has not mentioned specific time period for stability data. Is there a fixed time period for stability data, or is it changeable as per the scenario?
Anyway, you have to submit the stability for full shelf life. It depends on the shelf life. In certain instances, there may be instances where we may accept say 6 months stability and a commitment.
And a commitment. Yeah,
Yes.
that is important, no? So, I mean,
like a site change, like a site change, there may be instances where you can submit with the commitment and some data, at least 6 months data.
Okay, 6 months data plus a commitment.
Yeah.
Okay, then another one from Samita Senaratna. Are we to refer both ASEAN and WHO guideline requirements prior to variation submission, or is it only sufficient to follow the requirements given in NMRA variation guideline?
For biologicals, you have to refer the WHO guidelines. For other products, it's sufficient to refer NMRA guidelines.
Okay. Then, Lalit Vijay Sundar, most of our MNCs have a concern on approval timelines as per the guidelines. Is there any way forward to keep the approvals timeline as per guideline mentioned? that also we, yeah,
Yeah.
to expedite, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is why they have recruited staff and trying to, improve the system. So your support is also needed by giving the, full, complete information. And then somebody, Sandun Sudasinghe saying, hi, Kalpani Munasinghe, can inclusion of additional dosage form considered as a major variation? Example, eye drop to iron eardrop. Got it? That is,
That's
yeah.
an extreme example. Say, otherwise, it would require new applications for most of the instances.
Additional dosage form, consider, this is the example. Example, one is eye drop to iron eardrop. Arjun?
Yeah.
Some people have raised hands also.
Yeah.
Shanika Fernando, can you speak, please?
Hello,
Hello. Yeah.
I'm Hanifa.
Okay.
Now you said that if the API source change, it won't consider as a major this thing.
No. We
But you
didn't
are
say that.
mentioning the guideline, the API change also as a major. What is the difference between that?
No, we didn't say we won't consider. We said that depending on whether it's uh, the documents, the required documents may be changed if it is approved by the European Union, and if it is not, there would be more documents required. The two categories for falling the major variation or minor variation for approval.
That means if the source of the API change, we have to consider as a new product.
No, source not for the source of change. If the API change, it's a new product. If the API change, it's a new product, not the source.
No. Yeah, the API change now.
Excuse me,
For example,
Hanifa and Arjuna, Mr. Arjuna, I think
Yeah.
if you could elaborate on that, I also understand the Hanifa's confusion. I think in the new product changes leading to a new product registration, in that area, I think you have mentioned about the change in API. I think, Mr. Arjuna, if you could elaborate, that would be helpful for the audience, Mr. Arjuna. Because I think most of the people don't understand what the change means.
No, what kind of changes? I think
Yeah.
That should be the, what
Yes,
kind of
yes.
changes? Yeah.
Agree, Ms. Chinta, yes.
API change means it's a chemical change. Yeah. Say if a cough syrup, there's one ingredient, you are going to change to another ingredient. Then that would be a new product.
Yeah. Okay. I think you need to specify, Mr. Arjuna, because when you say API changes, there can be the monograph change or the source of change. The people won't understand that.
Okay, thank you, Tilak. We will take into the consideration that point, and Arjuna. So we will have a para in the guideline about that also. Type of changes, yeah.
The source of API means it's the same API, but the product is API is manufactured by another manufacturer. Then it's a major variation.
I understand your thought process, Mr. Arjuna. I think the audience, most of the people will not understand that.
So in that case, Arjuna, we will have a small explanation to that in the guideline. What do you suggest? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Then there are Shanika Fernando has raised her hand. Shanika, I don't know. Then Sanjeeva Fernando.
Mr. Arjuna, Sanjeev,
Yeah.
Mr. Arjuna,
Yes,
I want to know that that we are informed some minor variation of the test method. So, if you, what is the variation condition we should inform each and every minor variation of test method? Very minor test method we are informed for our manufacturer. What is the thing we should do regarding that? We should go the same procedure.
Yeah.
Or
You have to inform, notify.
notify each and every
Yeah. If there's error changes, you can submit in one application.
one application, right? Mentioning that all information, no? Right? Okay, thanks.
Then another hand raised by Prasanna Priyanath Gunadana.
Yes, Prasad.
Good morning.
morning.
Actually, my question was related to the stability data. That question in the chat was also the regarding the stability data. So, the major variation part you have mentioned, we need to submit the stability data, but it has not specify what we want to submit. Because you said 6 month stability data with the commitment data is approved.
Yeah.
Then we need to know 6 month stability data whether it is commercial batch or pilot scale batch or production scale batch, because major variation 6, so no, 15 you have clearly mentioned. When we are increasing the shelf life, we have to submit stability data covering at least 2 pilot batches. That is enough, but other areas we have not mentioned it.
Okay, we look into very state that.
ඔයා sort out කර
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, Priyam.
Anura?
Good morning. Good morning to all. Chintam is again my question. Doubt is this timelines, and you explain it very well, but not against the guideline. Guideline is super, and the thing is, if Mr. Arjun also mentioned, this is the maximum timeline. So our principals also, and they are also reading all these guidelines, and they are expecting some response within the time frame, because they send all the requested document, and we also make the payments and everything. And after that, after 120 days or 90 days, we cannot say still we didn't get the response from NMRA, because we know that there is an administration issue. So because of that administration issue, the someone who submitted some additional information after us also will be getting the approval. Sometimes principals also get to know those things. So then we don't have any clue to how to respond to the principals, and we are facing a lot of difficulties in that manner. So my request is, I can understand the administration issues, but at least if NMRA can send us an email or some document saying or asking for some more time for for the evaluation or whatever, then we can communicate it to the principal smoothly. Then we can sort out our problems also.
We will take it up with the management also, Andra, because they are waiting for feedback now. Okay.
There's another issue. Runs two other companies. I have phoned and told Anura also regarding this, that earlier they had been submitting the variations to CEO's office. So once it is submitted to CEO office, they place a flag. Then we cannot return it for the payment once the seal is placed. So you have to submit always to the accepting counter.
Okay. Then anyway, we will talk about that also, right? Yeah, I mean, we discussed with the management also. I think now things have been sorted out. There is another hand from Mr. Ajit Munasinghe. I think, Ajit, you have sent your questions already.
Yeah.
You can now put forward your question.
Yeah, good morning. My questions are related to development stages. Now, when we develop and register a formula or product, we submit the stability data and everything from pilot batches. and afterwards we go on scaling up. So all these are changes. At every change, do we have to inform NMRA, or can we come to a point and then stop there and inform the NMRA for scaling up?
Once you registered, you have to before registration, during the development process, you can submit the final formula. But once you registered, you have to inform all the changes.
Mr. Arjuna, we register the product with pilot batches. I mean, data from pilot batches. After that, only we do the scaling up.
Yeah. So when you have registered, that's a provisional registration. You can submit along with when you are extending the registration to full registration also.
Okay.
Registration can be submitted at that level.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Then Lalit Vijay Sundar has raised his hand.
Yeah, Mr. Arjuna, can you elaborate more on grouping of variations for understanding?
You can group if the same variation is applied to several products.
Yeah.
And also if there are single variation, for a single product also, you can apply through one application if you are submitting at the same time.
No, suppose that one variation applies for several strengths of one product, then we can go for one strength as a variation, no?
No. In that instance, you have to submit separately. Different strengths you have to submit separately. Say if it is a name of a change of the manufacturer's name, something like that, you can submit in the same variation.
Okay.
Okay, Lalit.
Right.
Okay. Then Sanjeev Fernand, do you have another question now?
No.
Your hand is still raised. Anyway, we have some other questions, I think, remaining. Ajit's one we answered. Then Shiran Ayushmanta, when we are supposed to change the pack type, should we submit while CTD? What is that? Example, we have an addition of new pack size of while keeping existing pack size is cartridge of insulin. Did you understand the question, Arjuna? We have an addition of new pack size of vial, pack type, while keeping existing pack size is cartridge of insulin. Shiran, can you please explain this if you are there? ඔයාට පුළුවන් භාෂාවකින් හරි කියන්න. අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ.
I think
Shiran.
Chintamis, I think he is asking if we can add a vial package to the available cartridge package.
That is what I also understood.
Yes.
What's your listing for that?
In this case, it should be a separate dossier because WHO also suggests if any stability or anything happen to one package, it is better to have separate.
Yeah. Okay, then another question from Ajit. Is alternate suppliers considered as major variation and need process validation, etc.? Alternate suppliers
is a variation, yeah.
And do you need process validation, etc.? He's asking.
Better to check the documents required. If it is mentioned, I cannot remember exactly.
Alternate suppliers.
Additional supplier.
For API?
For API or
API.
Yeah, the local manufacturer.
Yeah.
API.
I think the validation is required. Better to check the required documents mentioned there.
Some manufacturers has a revalidation criteria as a change of API manufacturers. So normally manufacturer have identified the revalidation criteria. According to that, they have to submit the process validation. If a change of API affect the API supplier, affect the finished product.
Okay.
Okay. Then Gimhani Abesing. Gimhani is asking if it is a major variation for which stability data is required, would it be acceptable current stability data along with a commitment letter? Yeah, that's what you said. That. If it is a major variation for which stability data is required, would it be acceptable concurrent stability data along with the commitment letter?
Yeah, current data for at least 6 months we need.
Okay, Gimhani, that's the answer. Then Sandun Sudhasingha, specification changes from BP to USP, will it be considered as a major variation or a new application?
That would be a major variation.
Okay. Then another one from Gimhani, this variation guideline is related to the medicines. And if it is a variation related to a borderline product, is there any guideline to refer? Not
I
yet.
think still no.
Not yet. Then Gimhani again asking, if it is a change of a specification limit of an excipient, what would be the variation classification?
It would depend. If it is tightening of the limit, that would be a minor.
Narrowing, no?
Yeah. Narrowing. Otherwise, it would be a major or, most probably major.
Yeah, it is mentioned clearly in the guideline.
Then if we submit the dossier with one manufacturer's API details and stability data after the process validation, and if it is okay to do the commercial production with another manufacturer's API.
No.
With only change application.
Those are basic GMP.
Is it okay to not submit the stability data to NMRA for that? If there is no stability of certification, EU or the API. This is from Kavitya Murugaya. You got it? If we submit a dossier with one manufacturer's API details and stability data after the process validation, and is it okay to do this commercial production with another manufacturer's API?
No, it's not acceptable. You have to revalidate and
inform to NMRA. Yeah. If not initially, manufacturer should submit all API manufacturer's details.
Then another one from Tilak Fernando, can multiple variations be submitted together? Sometime while one variation is pending approval from NMRA, there will be another variation for same product. Should the applicant need to wait till first variation to be approved to submit the second variation?
No.
Okay. Then Prasanna Priyanath, can we apply for major variation with accelerator stability in one or two pilot production scale batches with the commitment letter? Can we apply for a major variation with accelerator stability in one or two pilot production scale batches with the commitment letter? Hello?
Yeah, that we will have to look in. It may depend on the variation or what the variation is. Anyway, we will specifically state in the guideline what are the batches required.
We will take it into consideration in the guidelines, clear guidelines. We can talk to the consultants also and ask. Then Ajit Munasinghe, from which data will these guidelines practically be effective? From which date?
once received public comments, we have to consider all those comments, and then we have to finalize.
Yeah.
Finalize, and then finalized guideline will be published, no?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Perhaps 1st of February.
Yeah. Okay. Then you will be informed. I am going to the raised hands after this question. During production, this is from Kisal. During production, most of time they are going to execute their changes after finalization of their change control procedures after QA review. So it can be delayed to manufacturer's side until they wait for approval from NMRA. During production, most of the time they are going to execute their changes after finalization of their change control procedures. So it can be delayed. It can be, late for the manufacturer to, if they wait for NMRA approval.
This with regard to a local manufacturer or?
Should be, yeah. Kisal Tulana should be, I don't know, must be local manufacturer. During production, most of the time, they are going to execute their changes after finalization of the change control procedure, after QA review. So it can be delayed to manufacturer's side until they wait for approval from NMRA. Is the question clear to you?
Yes, clear.
Yeah, yeah.
So what is the answer then?
Yeah, that's also administrative issue.
මේ question එක අපි අරගමු. We will take up this question. We will take down this question, and we will, better to discuss this at the NMRA and give a response to this person.
Yeah.
We will do that. I will take the responsibility for that. If you can't give an answer now. Then open this one. Kalyana Gunaratna. Raised hand. Kalyana.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So, yeah, actually, it's related to the additions and replacement of manufacturing site. Actually, when we refer the NMRA guidelines, it leads to the new registrations. But whereas when we refer that other international guidelines like SUPAC, it's those that type of changes are categorized under variations, and we have to fulfill certain conditions and requirements. So actually, my request is when we amend these guidelines, I think we have to kindly request to consider that also, because I think I have seen that it means NMRA, when you all are drafting NMRA guidelines also, you'll have refer that SUPAC guidelines as well. So that's actually it's a kind request.
Okay.
Okay, right. Thank you. So we will, close this part now for the moment. So we will go to the next presentation now. So don't worry, your questions, we will again, read these questions and give your feedback. Okay, that's our responsibility from the part of the PSSL. Okay, thank you. So next presentation is by Mr. Arjuna Padma Peruma. That is on expedited procedures.
entire screen share lagi.
Chintamis, can you see the screen?
Yes, Miss Amila, we can see the screen.
Is it okay, no?
The slides are moving, no?
Yes, Mr. Arjuna, slides are moving.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I would explain about the priority review guideline. The terms expedited, fast track, and priority are synonyms with regard to this guideline. So the objective of this guideline is to explain the procedure for priority review. The priority review targeting to review the applications within a reduced timeline. At the same time, although we are reducing the timeline, we would not compromise the quality, safety, or efficacy of the product during the review. So the same documents may be required depending on the route of evaluation. For eligibility for priority review are products applying through WHO's collaborative registration procedure, orphan drugs, then drugs that are required for unmet needs for serious and life-threatening conditions, and monopoly items that we have narrowed it to 3 or less registered products required for Department of Health Services or listed in the essential medicines list. In the guideline, this is the definition for a serious disease or condition. A serious disease or condition means disease associated with morbidity that has substantial impact on day-to-day functioning. At the same time, short-lived and self-limiting morbidity will usually not be considered, but the morbidity need not be irreversible if it is persistent or recurrent. Also, whether a disease or condition is serious is a matter of clinical judgment. When you make a request, sometimes we may need to refer it to a committee, most probably the Medicines Evaluation Committee, whether to consider its on priority basis. Clinical judgment based on its impact on such factors as survival, day-to-day functioning, or the likelihood that the disease, if left untreated, will progress from a less severe condition to a more serious one. An unmet disease, an unmet need means the absence of a treatment option or a lack of safe and effective alternative treatment, such that the drug would be a significant improvement compared to available marketed and approved products, as demonstrated by evidence of increased effectiveness in treatment, prevention or diagnosis, or elimination or a substantial reduction of a treatment limiting adverse drug reaction to the current treatment. So these are the strategies adopted by NMRA in reviewing on priority basis. One is pooling of resources. The best example is products applying through WHO CRP, collaborative registration procedure. We have identified pharmacists and we have nominated them to the WHO also, who would be reviewing the WHO CRP. And also products that have been approved by reference authorities, so we can either review them through verification rule or some of the documents we can exempt, like clinical data. We can exempt if it is approved by a NMRA recognized reference authority. I also have to tell you that WHO doesn't recommend taking out of the queue. A certain file taking out of the queue is not recommended. But that's what has happened during the past. We want to change that procedure. These are the evolution rules. Full review. Full review means a review of all modules. Modules 1 to 5 has to be reviewed if it is a, for an example, if it is a new molecule, NCE, that has not been yet approved by a reference authority. The best examples are the dengue vaccine. If it is a dengue vaccine, most probably they wouldn't be approved in a reference authority because that part of the world may not be having dengue. So we would be required to evaluate the entire dossier. For most of the applications you are submitting, we do not go through the entire modules because the clinical part, efficacy and safety part has been looked at by a reference authority and they have approved those molecules. Bridge review means that it's also a reliance pathway based on the if the same product may not have been reviewed by a reference authority, but if an innovator product has been registered, the efficacy and safety part has been reviewed by a reference authority. So we would not require to review the module 4 and 5. Verification route is the if the applicant can produce submit us the full assessment report by a reference authority, we can review through the verification route. So then it's only a matter of verifying the same documents have been submitted to NMRA that has been assessed by the reference authority. We are applying this currently to the WHO products submitted to WHO collaborative registration procedure. WHO allows us to view what they have reviewed. These are the timelines. WHO CRP is the pathways verification route. 90 working days, that's the WHO criteria. The criteria given by the WHO is 90 working days. For open drugs, verification route, 90 working days. And if it is a bridge route, 120 working days. Drugs for life-threatening conditions, verification route, 60 working days. A bridge route, 120 working days. Full review, 150 working days. Drugs required by DHS and with 3 or less registered products, verification route is 60 working days. The bridge route is 120 working days. Full review route, 150 working days. So that's the main content of my presentation. We may go through the guideline. I choose the one sent by NMRA with some queries. Can you see the guideline?
Yes, Arjuna.
Okay. Just the introduction and purpose and scope, abbreviations.
Yeah, if you slowly go through it, it's better because we have time. You can go
Okay.
through
Okay.
slowly. Yeah.
Okay.
If anybody has questions on this, please again come.
Miss Chinta Bandarnaik here.
Yes.
I want to clarify one thing from Mr. Arjuna's presentation. In the presentation, Mr. Arjuna, you mentioned that fast track review is not recommended by WHO. What is exactly what?
Not the fast track. Taking the application out from the queue.
Jumping out of the queue.
Yeah, jumping out of the queue. So,
yeah, that is so. Then how do you the fast track the review without taking out from the queue?
Yeah.
Suppose
one
now
is,
I submit.
yeah,
I
one is
submitted
you have to allocate certain officers for that purpose. Like
okay, understand.
CRP.
Right, understand, Mr. Arjuna. Thank you.
There is a raised hand. I think Anurag.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is.
Please.
I just wanted to ask now the fast track procedures are there for the product registration. And if the product registration is required, site registration prior to the product registration, is there any pathways to get the fast track approval for those also for the whole process? That means
no, at the moment, no. We may consider. I don't know.
just as a suggestions, you can take it actually. So,
yeah, then maybe a reference authority approval, and if they have all that. Anyway, that is a question we have to discuss with our consultants also and come back. Okay, thank you for that question. Yeah. Any other? We'll go through. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please raise your hands. And we have missed one question, Arjuna, maybe related to the previous one. Can I just read it now? In case of change in the API manufacturer, if the certificate COA of new source is same, the previous manufacturer, will that be a variation? Roy, in case of change in the API manufacturer, if the COA of new source is same, maybe as the previous manufacturer, will that be a variation? I can't understand the question.
Yeah. If the API manufacturer is different, then from that source also they have to submit a COA for API.
Okay. Then go ahead, please, with this. Yeah.
So the purpose is to carry out the review within a shortened time period. In the score, so this doesn't cover the emergency use authorization. That's a separate process. This process is for only for this process is only for marketing authorization, fast tracking the marketing authorization applications.
Emergency authorization is a different one. That we gave for COVID vaccines and all that.
Yeah.
And there are questions, I think, now coming up.
Okay. So the prerequisites are the manufacturer has to be an approved manufacturer. Then the eligibility. There are some questions there. NMRA gives expedited review for monopoly products. It's not there. But number 4 is the one to cover monopoly items.
If there is a shortage of supplies, that is the one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that is coming from Emma Kemi, Prashanti. You got the answer, I suppose.
Yeah, it's more explained further down. It is explained there. Then the expedited review shall be considered for the originator brand of any molecule. No, that cannot be done. Yeah, if originator covers one of these conditions, we can consider.
Just because
Maybe,
it is an originator, you will not consider.
yeah. If it is orphan drugs or if it addresses unmet needs, we can consider.
We cannot give epidemiological data, but if the product has been imported through WRs or PULs, such data can be given.
Yeah.
Please explain, Arjuna, what do you mean by epidemiological data here?
Yeah, epidemiological data means the disease prevalence in Sri Lanka, how many patients are there, in the case of a rare disease, how many patients you can count. Those research you have to do as a responsible local agent. That's
Can I
why.
intervene? Now, when some companies, introducing a new product to a country, I think there is a market research team. I think actually this regulatory department should liaise with them because they know why this is important. That is why they are trying to get it to Sri Lanka. So those data, what they have collected, I think will be useful in this. Because I talked to some of the market research people, they say they collect this data. Then only they are trying to introduce, they will try to introduce that product to Sri Lanka. So you have to always liaise with that people who do the market research.
The unmet need, current available treatment options and standard therapies, and the inadequacy of current therapies. The current question is, we can give the current treatment options, but their inadequacies can only be given by consultants in the relevant specialties. That's also the local agent has a responsibility to they should have a clear idea about the what the treatments are available and whether they are adequate.
And also when this NMRA receives these they also put it to the medicines evaluation committee now. So
Yeah.
there are consultants, they will also support this.
Yeah, we will definitely review what the company would submit, but data also has to come from the applicant also.
Excuse me, Mr. Arjuna. May I ask a question on this epidemiology data? Are you considering this pharmacoeconomics as well? Like say the cost effective of the treatment, current treatment, and the prevalence of disease and the kind of thing, or not? Cost analysis.
Yeah, cost analysis would be an advantage for your application.
Yes, exactly. Yes, because treatment, cheap, kind of treatment options. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
The extent to which the product is expected to have a major impact on medical practice, its major benefit, and how it addresses unmet needs. We can submit the manufacturer's claim on this if that is acceptable. Not just the claims, you have to give supporting data like if they have submitted, if they have published them in peer-reviewed journals or approved,
Scientific data.
or approved by a reference authority, what their comments. Even clinical trial summaries you can submit. Clinical evidence of increased effectiveness in treatment, prevention or diagnosis or elimination or substantial reduction of a treatment limiting drug reaction compared to available treatment. We can submit clinical data from the manufacturer in originator products and BE studies in generics. No, BE study would not be applicable for this instance. This is with regard to safety and efficacy. You have to prove that from clinical trial data. Then they ask what is the procedure for already submitted products to normal pathway if they fall in expedited review categories after some times of submission. What we develop this guideline is to you have to request for the priority at the beginning at the time of submission of the application. But if you are asking for priority for already submitted application for say orphan drug or unmet need, we may consider.
In that case, Mr. Arjun, I think we can put a WR for that, no? Suppose if the file is already in the queue.
Yeah. No, you can make a request to expedite the application.
Yeah, that's yeah.
With justifications. I think I already explained the full review, what full review means. Is there someone from MRChem there? Aishmant was there.
Yeah, she's here. Prashanti has raised her hand also. Yeah. Yes, Prashanti, please talk. Prashanti? She's there, I think. She has raised her hand. Maybe she has understood.
Yeah.
There is a question, but I can, if you like, I will take it here.
Okay.
Prashanti. Speak up, please, Prashanti. You have raised your hand.
Prashanti, you are muted, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Pramod.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Can Prashanti. Again, she's muted now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over to Prashanti. You have to unmute the.
Prashanti, unmute your this thing. Go.
So if you have a question, Prashanti, please put it on the chat box. Is there a technical issue?
Yeah, Prashanti, otherwise you can put your question in the chat box. So until such time, shall I take this question, Arjuna?
Okay. Yeah.
1 minute. One from Prasanna Prerna, 2 questions. Can we refer orphan drug list, which has been published in FDA or NMRA publishers, a list of orphan drugs? Whether you are planning to publish one?
At the moment, I think there's no such plan, but the MEC could consider case by case if you make a request, certainly you can refer the US FDA list, and also there's a MHRA list, I think. You can refer, and uh, then you have to apply it to the Sri Lankan content, because the disease should be prevalence in Sri Lanka, and it should be there in Sri Lanka.
Yeah. And
But you have to do the epidemiology studies again.
Again, I think to my knowledge, a board paper went for this. I think for approval of this orphan drugs. So very soon something will come out on orphan drugs, to my knowledge.
Yeah, therefore there's a proposal to
and it has
waive the
been
registration fee.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Again, there is another question. Request to consider expedite if the manufacturer wishes to transfer the products which are already registered in NMRA to approval from the different manufacturing facility due to reasonable reason. So he's requesting to consider as expedited, the process if the manufacturer wishes to transfer the products which already registered in MRA from the different manufacturing facility. Can you please explain that, Prasanna?
Here we are highlighting some
Yeah.
manufacturers are trying to transfer the product from new manufacturing facility. The product is already registered. They are trying to send the goods from the new site. Then we have to consider it as a new product. At that time, we are requesting to consider the NMRA in the priority basis, because this is currently available products. Due to the site transferring procedure, the sometime product may face the out of a stock situation. That's right.
That is one to take into consideration. Yeah. Okay.
Ms. Chinta, sorry to disturb you again. Now, if you are taking like what Mr. Prasanna mentioned, I think you have to consider about the local manufacturers as well. We also have the same situations where we have the registered product and we want to shift it within the country. So that cases, I think, please consider that as well.
Arjun, what's your this thing?
Yeah, we would consider.
At the beginning, I said that all these your questions, we will have a discussion among the NMRA staff and the management, and we'll try to give you suitable answer. Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, please. Arjun.
Yeah. The reason behind we decided to introduce this priority review is that it has been a consistent problem for NMRA pharmacists that invariably all the applicants try to get priority for every product, so and get some note on their request from the CEO or anyone like that to do the evaluations on priority. So there were so many priorities that we don't have the time to do the evaluation on that the applications coming on the normal process. So we wanted to limit that priorities. Then we have the review process. There's a WHO CRP guideline for WHO CRP guideline. There's a separate guideline on that. So the products on unmet needs and life-threatening conditions would be decided by MEC or a subcommittee appointed by MEC for that purpose. So for the monopoly items, the CEO would authorize the recommendation to evaluate on priority basis if there's a need. Then we have the timelines. These are the references. There are several references published by our reference authorities. We looked at them before finalizing this priority guideline. So that's it for the guideline also. If we have more questions, we can discuss.
Arjuna?
Yeah.
Arjuna, may I ask a question on variations again? Sorry for the interruption. Now here is after the variation is approved, some principals ask whether they can supply all stocks which are in their inventory. Are there any possibility?
What do you mean? Yeah.
That's a different case. We have to think about that.
If pack size is deleted, you can.
Yeah. Say if you change the pack size, then it would be difficult to you to submit the all packs again. If it's an addition, you can.
Are you going to give any grace period after implementing the variation to relinquish their existing stocks?
That you have to plan before submitting the variation. When you are going to implement, you have to plan. Once if the registration certificate is amended, then that would be a problem for you to clear the item also.
Yeah.
So well, do have to plan the variations there. And there is a question, rather a proposal. Kindly come up with the procedure for expediting or exempting orphan drug manufacturing plant registrations. Okay, thank you for the question. And Prasanna Priyanath again, please. Prasanna.
No, madam, sorry.
Please. What's your question? Okay, then in that case, Chamika. Chamika, are you speaking? We can't hear. Chamika, you are not audible.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Hari,
Yes.
Yeah. There's a technical error. So this regarding the priority registrations. So once we apply for a certain priority criteria, is there any notification what we get that the product has been selected for this criteria? Is there any way of administrative mechanism that we can get so then we know that this product has been selected for this criteria, and we can inform our principals as well as we can follow up in certain ways.
Okay.
Yeah, certainly we can introduce that.
Yeah, so that will be grateful, I think. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for that suggestion. Anything else, Chamika?
No, ma'am, it's good to go. Thanks.
Okay. Has Leslie Varaka going to join? Leslie is there. If not, we will write to him about his questions because those are mostly general questions. Okay. Anything else? If there are no questions,
I have to remind again that to all the applicants that do not submit the variation applications to the CEO's office. So yeah, if you submit there, then the track will be lost.
Okay.
And also please include a copy of the certificate of prevailing registration certificate copy you have to attach. Sometimes we get without that copy. And also we would be introducing the application. We would share it with you the soft copy of that. Please include that in your variation application. We can share it through the PSSL and through your regulatory committee also. We can share it.
From the manufacturing country in area.
Yeah. Also, if the variation has been approved by the country of origin NMRA or any reference NMRA, that would be helpful if you attach them also.
And there is a request from Hasanti Matarage for PSSL. It is to us. Please come up with a workshop for manufacturing plant registration as the guideline has changed recently. Surely we would do that. And Arjuna, is that all for you?
Yeah.
And I have to, I think now, because there are certain other guidelines, especially for pharmacovigilance, I think the Anura and the Bowers have written to SLCPI also, although the deadlines are, all the deadlines are over, I think, but still, because NMRA CEO requested us to have this kind of discussion on those also. Not only that, if you can write to us what are the important ones, then we can expedite. And also, as you know, we can't have it on any other day other than Saturdays because we can't plan anything. Suddenly, our resource people will be called for meetings. You know the setup at NMRA. That is why we were compelled to have it on a Saturday. Okay, then so we are trying to continue with this. If you have, please write to us if you have any suggestions to the NMRA as well as to the PSSL. If you are interested in any particular topic, as this Ms. Hasanti Matarage has proposed. And all these questions we will take down and we will send you written answers also. Okay. Has Vindhya joined? Has Vindhya joined? So that is our General Secretary. Any other questions or any other comments from the participants? Arjuna, then can we wind up this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the NMRA management and also Mr. Arjuna Padma Peruma and Ms. Amila. Taking your time during the weekend. I know you all are very busy during the weekdays. That is the special reason we had to have this on a Saturday. Thank you very much for your, the cooperation and your time, your valuable time and your guidance. So we will work together in the future. We will try to develop the knowledge of our regulatory staff also in the companies to be par with the NMRA staff and to minimize the time taking for regulatory approval. So we are trying our best from the Pharmaceutical Society. I thank the Pharmaceutical Society President and the other organizing committee, the regulatory committee and the entire PSSL Council, and also our administrative officer, Ms. Naimi Kandappa, for registering all you on time, and also our IT expert, Mr. Pramod. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your participation. It's an encouragement to us. We are so happy that you all have come in this large number. Thank you so much. We are with you. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's meet again
very soon.
We will organize another program, and let's meet again to discuss another guideline.
Thank you, PSSL, and thank you, NMRA, for organizing.
Thank you. You are free to talk to us also at any time. Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.